the Galactic Center. I'm Kimla Lowe, your host. Thank you so much for coming along with us. I have a wonderful guest in the house this evening that I'm just really happy for you to meet. She's been my spiritual friend for, a long time. And we've gone through a lot of journeys, a lot of pivots,
Yes,
and a lot of really nice, I want to say, uh, shifting of our levels and embracing a lot of information and awakening. And we're both people that like to share. So I'm so happy. I want you to meet Tracy Mahan. Hi, Tracy. How are
hello.
you?
Hi, Kimla. Hello, everybody listening. So fun to be here and so exciting to reconnect with you and just get caught up on things. Matter of fact, we were so getting caught up on things we almost forgot to go live.
I know. But here we are live. And I have to tell you, I've got to brag on this friend of mine right here. She is certified as a hypnotherapist. She's been into the NLP, she's been doing the Reiki. She's level 3 in Reiki. She is a psychic intuitive. She does tarot cards. She is connected to the galactic beings. So she channels messages from them and really getting the word out on a universal level. And she does workshops. She does workshops in Ascension. She does workshops in her hypnotherapist theme as well, I think, right? Your QHHT level with Dolores Cannon, who I dearly, dearly love. And she has this wonderful down to earth tone about her that you will see as we're going through. And I can't wait for her to write all of this information down from the galactic messages that she has gladly and selflessly given to us. So Tracy, I don't know what topic to pick first, so you go ahead and choose.
Oh, it's kind of like, when you spin the wheel and you wait to see where it's going to land. What's the win? Oh gosh, I don't know. The channeling of the messages, that's been the newest journey I've been on. That started in 2018 when I started channeling the Arcturian collective. I call the one that channels through me Daniel, which I started to notice, in the beginning you're like, oh, Arcturian Daniel, and it's like this piece that sits on my right side, and now it's kind of like, oh, Arcturian Daniel, it's not separate from me anymore. And it's like, I asked one of my friends she's not necessarily in the metaphysical world, and I said, do you think that's weird that you have a friend that refers to herself as Arcturian Daniel from time to time? She goes, I got used to it. And it's like, it really has become a normal over here, whereas before it was just such an odd thing to even think about. Now it's just so natural. Absolutely love to bring through the Arcturians. They are so full of love for humanity and doing whatever they can through the messages to help people heal and come up from whatever depths they've been in, and just giving words of encouragement, showing people who they are, helping us all to understand how expansive and beautiful and amazing we are. And so that's been a really fun journey for me to get to dive into that piece.
Yeah, and for a lot of people out there, Arcturian, just the word kind of makes people, what? Kind of tilt their head a little bit. They may not be sure of what that is, where it's located, and why we refer to it as a galactic piece of this channeling.
Yeah. So, my understanding is the Arcturian Council that I'm working with actually is on a ship, but they're from the planet Arcturus, and they are part of a bigger galactic collective. So in my galactic councils, I am connected to many. In fact, they told me I can connect to anyone's. That's why I do the ascension sessions, because if you were connected to, say, the Syrian Council and you had a session, I could channel in the Syrians. So whatever it is that I agreed to do here makes me a conduit of like a telephone. So I'm a telephone to your galactic
Right.
council. And that's been really exciting to find that out. And it's really interesting when somebody that has a frequency or a vibration I haven't worked with before, I can always tell that there's something new there when they come in because of the way I'm feeling. I get a little lightheaded or I get a little uh, wonky. But anyway, so there's councils all over the planet or all over the galaxy, all over the multiverse, all over dimensions. So there's different dimensions and universes and all kinds of things. And there's portals and wormholes and all of that that go to all of them. And taking people on these journeys over time has just been such an eye opener to how vast and how enormous all of it is, and how vast and how enormous each one of us are. We are our own universe within ourselves when we can just jump dimensions with mere thought to do so. And just so much information out there still for us to grab hold of and expand to and bring in a new understanding of all the stuff that goes on here in this planet and what is it all about. That's like our big question. Why are we all here? What are we doing? So it's been fun, and I like that you're asking when am I going to write it all down. I keep attempting to write it all down. So I'm sure eventually that's all going to compile into something. And it is quite a journey. So I am excited when that will get completed and I can put that out there so everyone can understand where this journey has taken me, and hopefully that'll inspire others because everyone has access to all of it. And so that's the fun part for me, is activating people in that.
Wow, activating. Activating, that's a great word. And it's a process that maybe we don't know. Maybe we would all have the desire, to talk to other people, galactics, they call them aliens, but, from other planets and things like that. Being a psychic medium, my own experience is that you have to get used to that there are no boundaries. It's where whatever you are allowing in and whatever your intention is to focus on, and you can sort of go in that little pathway and boom, there it is, and it's one of those things that I think a lot of people are sharpening their skills in mediumship nowadays, and you'll see them, I think more than ever now, and people will be very comfortable in talking to the people on the other side, or even listening to the people on the other side, listening to their intuition and all of that, and knowing that to be able to communicate, you don't need a phone, you don't need a keyboard, you don't need all of that. So this is where I'm thinking, when I was a kid, we had a telephone, one entire house, and we had to share it with our neighbors. We had to share the line with our neighbors. And so we're getting to the point that we are learning how to have conversations, really using the third eye in more of a telepathic manner. And this is how these messages are really kind of sent. So when you were activated, did you do something a little bit different than you usually do? Or were you in a type of meditation or a purification, or how did you open up your channel to perhaps receive signals universally?
Well, I didn't go in expecting it, but what I did is I went to my level 2 training for QHHT, which is the quantum healing hypnosis technique with Dolores Cannon. And it was in Arkansas, up in Eureka Springs, and it's like just staying on a giant crystal, right? We were all up at a hotel there, and the vibrations up there were so high. And so I was up there for about 10 days, I think it was total. And when I came back, I was like, I was just still on that vibration, that high vibration of being there with all those people in that beautiful area. And then I came back and I did a trade with one of my friends to do, it's like, okay, got a new level of QHHT. Let's give it a try. And so she was going to do a session on me and I was doing one on her. And I get in the chair. I'm about to tip back in the chair. And I said, I feel kind of lightheaded and funny, but like, I'm not sure what's going to happen here. Like I can feel something is happening. And I tipped that chair back and closed my eyes. And then whoop, all of a sudden, that was the first time I heard Daniel coming out. And he was so wound up and talking. And he took me to see all these other councils. And I even got to meet like these little 2-foot fairy looking guys that are on the earth realm. They came in to help and assist. And that was the first thing. That was my first experience with it. So I didn't go in through, I didn't train for it. I didn't even ask for it. It's just like, it just happened. I just was like, what is going on? And, then I thought, well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that again.
To help and assist.
So when I went into trying to do it again, it happened again by accident the second time when I had a friend that was struggling with something. I said, well, let's just talk on the phone for a little bit. And I started talking to her on the phone. And next thing I know, Daniel pops in. My voice is changing. I'm taking her out into a forest. And then she's meeting all the fairy realm and they're all gathering around her. And then she gets placed on this throne in the middle of the circle. And all these things start coming in. All this information starts coming in for her. And at the end of that, she goes, what do you call that session? I said, I don't know. I've never done that before. And so that's how the Ascension sessions kind of got started, is these journeys of getting information, healing things within ourselves, and then going out into the galactic councils to find out, where are you from? What are you doing here? What kind of other lifetimes have you had before coming into the human one? And what kind of connections are you bringing into the planet? And just some really extraordinary journeys with that over the last 3 years. So
yeah, I was meditating and doing kind of my own inner work, and I was brought up in front of the Galactic Council, the Federation, and there were a couple of questions that a lot of my clients wanted to know, and that was, could they change their contracts? Could they do certain things? And I thought it was so gracious of the council to even listen to me, to even give me time. They're so powerful. I was really taken back that, this little person here would even have their time or their attention. But they were very considerate and they were very kind. And the fun part about the timing aspect is that when you do present yourself in front of the councils, and the information or perhaps the granting of a question or something that you want to have happen, they informed me that Earth time, the result or the resolution takes 3 days. Have you noticed that at all in your work?
I guess it would depend on what it is. I've seen things get resolved in the session. Like if you're talking about like aches, pains, different things going on with the body, definitely emotional stuff can get resolved in the session. Ancestral healing, and then people telling me later that, the interaction with relatives has changed. I think it probably depends on what the situation is and what's at hand. For me, so here might be the difference too. For me, like if you wanted an ascension session, you're going to go to my website, you're going to sign up for that ascension session. As soon as you click sign up and you pay for that and it goes off into the ethers and you're now on my calendar, they are now working on you. So your session begins the moment you commit to doing that session. And I can't tell you how many people go, man, I signed up for your session and then my life started going like this, and it's like, yep, and that's about right. And I noticed that the sessions themselves have evolved. So there was the first group of people that I was working with, say the first probably 6 to 9 months, we really focused on just healing, 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 and letting go of those old things that we hang on to with family and friends and relatives of all kinds and ancestral stuff and self-healing and self-forgiveness. And it was like boom, 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 over and over again. And then I noticed that it all of a sudden it just took a shift. And then we weren't doing so much of that anymore. We're just heading out. We're heading out and going to do these things. And you're from this planet, and here's your counsel. And this is what you came in, and you bring this to the planet, and you're helping with these things. And it's like, how come we don't do the healing anymore? And they said enough people did the healing that now it's in the frequency. So when someone signs up for the ascension session, they automatically get that before the day of their appointment. They're going to clear that before they get there because their counsels are going to work on that with them. So we didn't have to do that piece anymore. Now I'm noticing they're shifting a little bit again and getting a little deeper into not so much what did you come here to do on this planet, but let's go find the gifts that you still need to get activated in so that you can level up to what you're doing on the planet. So there's all kinds of neat things that I'm noticing in my own journey with this, that it keeps changing and it keeps changing and it keeps changing. And so my curiosity around that and what's happening. So when you ask me how long does it take for something to take place, I think you can have it even before, like my experience is some of the people experience their healing before they even get to the session. And then we just expand on that when they get there. And it's an incredible journey. I have now my experience with QHHT sessions. Some of that stuff can happen instantly depending on where the person's at with their own belief in the healing. But a lot of times it is, okay, you need to go home and change this behavior, change this habit, change this thing. And as you do that, you're going to notice that in the next week to 2 weeks, this symptom is going to now drop away and be gone. And so you're right. Some of them, they won't give it to you right away. It's no instant gratification. You got to work for that and show that you can become the vibrational match to that outcome you're looking for. But at least they get the instructions on how to do that. So
it sounds like in your work as well that you have tapped into a global consciousness of if there's enough people and energizes that particular level and clearing that, everyone kind of reaps the rewards of that.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
keep growing. And this is what your ascension is. I've met a lot of I met them halfway on being actually afraid to ascend. Is that because of the belief of what it is or what's going to happen, or are they going to turn into alien, or
you can only hope so, right?
I mean, what's going to happen?
There's so many stories. Yeah, there's so many stories to ascension. It's like you don't know which one. And my personal opinion is they're all true, right? They're all true, because you're going to get what you're creating, what you're believing. If I've learned anything, it's how we are creating our own reality. And so some people believe that they're no longer going to have their physical body. They're going to become this energy body, and they're really attached to the physical body, and they're afraid to leave that. And so that intimidates them. They think it's death and not ascension. And in its own way, it kind of is. But you are releasing that third dimensional frequency. So you are kind of allowing that to go away. So in that essence, that part of you is no longer there. And then others think that they're going to get picked up in a ship and dropped off in the new earth. And others see it as a rebuilding of the earth that we have now, and the collapsing structures and rebuilding new ones. And I think there's a version of that out there for everyone, because we live in a multidimensional reality. I mean, just ourselves, all we got to do to enter another dimension is close our eyes. and we're going to be in another dimension. We're no longer seeing this third dimensional reality in front of us. And now our imagination gets to take us somewhere, right? Our thoughts get to take us somewhere, and that's entering us into another reality. And so we got to get a grip on how absolutely fascinating we are. You know, we close our eyes, boom, we could go anywhere. And even science has proven thought is instantaneous, like the speed of sound, the speed of light. You know, they got that down, and then they tested the speed of thought, and it's instantaneous. So as soon as you have a thought that you want to be right now in the realm where your council sits around a table ready to give you information, boom, you see it in your head, you're in that realm. As soon as you had the thought, it moved you there. And we can go anywhere that way. And so when we let go of our attachment to this physical 3D thing that we have, we can go anywhere. But the cool part about having the physical body is we also get to have this unique experience of not just the physical touch, but the feelings that come with that, with all of the extras that come with it, the different levels of
emotional realm. Yeah.
Emotional realm. Yeah. So we get to have this really unique experience of being so much more than what we realize we are. So we're the physical body, and then we go into the other realms, and we're in the energy body and the thought body and the awareness body. And we can have so many more experiences with that and realize how vast and amazing we are. And that, to me, that kind of helps, like when people can be afraid of death. And so I imagine the ascension thing could be much like that. It's the unknown. Nobody knows what that looks like yet, you know? And so it's like, but you know, when we leave these bodies, how is that any different than when we're exploring the worlds through our minds and all these other dimensions and realities? Where do you go when you sleep? You know, what are you doing in the dream state? Where is that? So there's all these beautiful questions that make us such an amazing thing to experience.
I think the validation a lot of times comes through near-death experiences that these people have had. I've had my own, and you literally live through popping out of your body to feel what it's like, not to be in body, but to feel what it's like to be kind of in the ethers and in another dimension, looking down on your own physical body. And it cures you of the fear of death. Number one, you don't fear it anymore, but it also makes you appreciate your vehicle, your body itself. And it really makes you come into a whole different perspective, that you can separate the two. And that is, I think, one of the best experiences to really get over the fear of death. And a lot of people try to take different, drugs or, different things, different meditations, and, to kind of pop out of their body. Whether you go back in or not, that is, up to you. But I think that is a great validation, and a lot of the research has been done on that. And I think that just the awareness of different frequencies now, that everything is energy, everything has a frequency, and each frequency has a color, has a sound, has a level. And when you start dealing with machines that validate that, yes, psychics all this time have been trying to explain unseen energy and what you're feeling and what you're seeing. And now they actually have machines that validate all of that. Yeah. And that is happening really quickly. So we don't look like we are totally out of our minds. Although that's not bad.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of fun to be in that out of the mind category, but
yeah, kind of, half in, half out. But now to be able to see that what you're feeling and what you're experiencing in maybe a Reiki activation, you can actually see it being read out in a form, like an EKG or something. That's really kind of a really cool thing. And also about the different levels of healing and how it's it really is attached to not just the physical, the emotional, but the mental and the spiritual realms. And also, you were talking about ancestors and that realm, and how that particular wound and trauma and your soul tribe. Let's talk about that a little bit. I don't think people are really highlighted or aware of the fact that that can be affecting you. And you didn't do anything.
Right. So I'm going to bounce back to something that you said earlier about going to visit the council, and you were so honored that they would listen to you. I'm going to tell you a little secret that I've learned. They're honored to have you, because if you are a volunteer that's come into this earth to help navigate through the ascension, you're probably the highest ranking person in the room.
Yeah.
So when you went to go visit that council and you felt so honored they were giving you the time of day, they probably were all like, hey, do you know who came visit us today? Yeah, that was all about you, Kimla, because this is what I'm finding out, is that in the collectives that are formed, in the groups, there's so many volunteers on the planet at this time, because that is part of what's needed to bring that scale to that tipping point, right? But those volunteers were the strongest member of the group that they were in. Every time I take them in an ascension session, they were the strongest one. That's why they're the ones that are in the body, because they were the ones that were most likely to succeed at remembering who they were. That makes me kind of want to cry. So there's that piece. Now back to the question. You were asking a question. I totally lost it because I really wanted to get that out.
That's why we have these formats and these shows that are so popular, because so many volunteers. That is why that is kind of a mission, that we get the word out and kind of break through these barriers, these bonds, looking from a new perspective, so that we can rebuild, rebuild a new way out of this third dimension that we've been enslaved in. And so I think that's why we have, these shows are so popular, because we can't keep our voices quiet anymore. If you've got the word inside of you, you've got to get it out.
Yeah, you've got to get it out. And it not only do you have to get it out, but it could be the most important thing you've ever done, because you don't know who needed to hear what you had to say. And I've had it happen, and I know you have too, Kimla, where we do our shows, or we do, we're helping people, we're doing sessions with people, and we find out later how impactful that was. Somebody listens to the radio show and says, you said just the right thing that I needed to hear, that brought me to this other point, that got me out of this rut, that saved me in this area. Right. And you just don't even know who needed to hear what we had to say, and the stuff that we're talking about today. There's people listening that are just, they've been starving for this information, and it's time to get that out there so that everyone understands who they truly are. If you're drawn to a show like this, and so that's why I say everyone, because if you're watching this show, there's no mistake, you're part of that collective that needs to know this information. Right. And it's so important for people to understand. Oh, the ancestors. I knew I'd get back to it. So here's Kimla. Can I use you, Kimla?
Yes.
The soul family. And let's just say you lived all your lifetimes and checked all the boxes and ascended, and they said, Kimla, you don't have to go back anymore. But you know what? There's this soul family down here that they're not going to make it through the ascension unless you can get down there and help them resolve this karma. And you said, dang it, if I didn't love humanity so much. So then you came into the family, and so many light workers.
There's your story. There's your story.
Right? So you come in.
That's a great novel. I love that. I love it.
I love it too. It's giving me chills. So maybe that's what I will do. I'll talk about Let's Heal the Ancestors, because what you did is you came in and you took on so much. And during your childhood, you probably didn't understand why. Why do I feel different than everyone else in the family? Why do I feel like I'm on the outside looking in? Why do I feel like everyone treats me different? why is this household so abusive and so angry and all of this stuff going on?
Yeah.
You know, abuse, alcoholism, narcissism, all these different things that happen within these homes.
Yeah.
And then these are the people that step up and break the pattern and become the parent they always wanted to have for themselves, and become the person that they always wish that their parents were, whatever it is, and they break that pattern. But then it goes even deeper into the ripple effect of all the ancestors. And I've seen it in so many sessions, QHHT and the Ascension sessions, where they bring in all the ancestors into the room with the person. And that person stands in the center. So if anybody wants to do this, you just stand in the center and you become your soul self. Just become that light that you emanate from, that you originate from. And then just fill the room with that light. And then ask for all that karma to be released. A lot of times we'll go through and list it. Please release the burdens, the hurts, the pains, the disappointments, the frustrations, the anger, the grieving, the abuse, all of it, the alcoholism, the whatever it is, all of the abusive things, the burdens, the demons that are hanging on to these people that they're hanging on to and can't forgive themselves for. Let's release it and bring it into the light. Meanwhile, you're pulsing out that energy that you are, kind of like this funnel of energy that makes loops, and you're just putting it out in all directions to every one of those ancestors. And in my mind, the way I see it is like that room can be full of shadowy looking figures, and by the time that person's done clearing the ancestor energy, all of a sudden they're all light beings standing there. And so they go from these shadowy, heavy, denser energies into this light energy. And when we become that light energy, when we become that frequency, that energy that wants to hold us into the denser fear-based energy can't find you anymore. You're free of it now. It's like cutting those chains and releasing that. So to me, the ancestor healing is the key to getting us all there, getting us into ascension, because
Wow.
we're healing it for people that are in body, out of body, have had lifetimes that are connected to that bloodline that you came into. If they're connected in any way to that bloodline, future or past, you're healing in all directions. So
That's powerful.
it's very powerful. And if you think about all the light workers that came in, if every one of them are doing it, that's how we're getting to ascension. And that's why we're seeing chaos right now, because we're purging. And it's funny because I noticed my ascension sessions started kind of going towards this ancestral healing. And, like I said, it'll switch. All of a sudden it's doing that. And then I'm talking to a friend that doesn't have no clue what I'm working on. She's like, man, everything's been switching over to this ancestral healing in my office, and all this has been too. And then I'll talk to another person and they're saying the same thing. So it's in the collective that it's time to purge that. And I think that's why we're seeing so much stuff come up for people, so much of when you turn on the news or any of that and you're seeing all the upheaval all around the world and all this, well, we're purging all the hurt and pain of the planet.
And being an astrologer, the universe is so supporting that right now.
Yeah.
We are having this, this wonderful chatty full moon on the 18th in Gemini, but then the 19th, we go into this purging, and it's showing up as, the planet Venus, the love planet, higher money, your value. And it is holding hands with Pluto. And that is the planet of transformation, of death and rebirth. It is very, very intense. So when we have Venus that decides to leave the direct path and turn backwards in a retrograde fashion, the planet itself doesn't really turn backwards, but the energy goes inwards. Just like a flow, an ebb and tide. The energy is not outwards anymore. It comes inwards. And so what happens is you do the inner work of loving yourself and valuing yourself. And if that means that you want to make more money, it will be validated, but not until January 29th when it starts to go direct again. But you get these wonderful weeks ahead, and it's a very, very intense time. Now, Venus is in Capricorn, and it is going to be retrograding back at 29 degrees. Now, what does that mean? Well, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is the disciplinarian. It takes on the image of the father here on planet Earth, has that yang energy to it, that restriction, the discipline, the building of the foundation of a good life. And this is what is going to be happening, because throughout this particular time of Venus going retrograde, we are going to be very intensely looking at our father figures in our life. Was your father present? Was he absent? Was he manipulative? Did he cross a boundary? Was he your hero? Did he pass his gifts and his work on to you? Were you his favorite? You can go through all of these kinds of things, and these things are going to be coming up. So for you to have, going forward, for you to have any kind of clearing or healing, or perhaps a dissolving of the cord of trauma having to do with the father place in your life. This is what's coming up. So it is so good to hear that we can do this on a global consciousness, and we can really help each other through it, as long as we know that the universe itself is supporting this clearing and this transformation right now. Yeah. It's just fabulous. So everything is linked together.
Yeah. And just as an extra on that, when you go into that healing, because I do think every one of us is probably experiencing something, even in the shadows of that right now, that's surfacing for us. When you go to heal that, what I've experienced is it's always so fun. Daniel will come in and say, what does this person need? So you're holding your father in front of you, and Daniel will say, what does that person need? And, you know, our instinct is to go, they need to clean up the rack. They need to do this. They need to do that. Right? No. What does that person need? And it always breaks down to one thing. And it's always, they need love. And so when you can get to that place where you can see the compassion that this person in front of you that's caused you so much pain, that what they really need is love. Mm-hmm. That's where the healing is. And if they can get to that point, if you guys can get to that point and see that what's really needed here is that we just start loving each other and stop all of this pain, then that's when we can all start to heal, including the ones that played the role in your life to be the abuser.
Right.
Right. So it's such a powerful time. It's not easy. I mean, I've been faced with it all too. I'm sure, you know, we always talk about that as light workers. We come on the shows and we talk about this stuff, and just know we're faced with it too. We've too, and we're coming up, and we're not perfect. You know, I'm going to be like, nope, don't want to do that. Don't want to do. Okay, fine.
Oh, God, no.
Down to the point where you can go, okay, I know this is what I need to do, and you go deeper with it. And what do you need? You need that love too. Mm-hmm. You need to be able to accept and receive love also, and forgive self for the parts you played, for, you know, the things that happened to you, that, you know, there's so much forgiveness in all of it. So such a powerful time indeed. And I love that you can bring in how the astrology is supporting the things that, you know, because I'd love to follow astrology and I get the little crumbs of it. But when I'm hearing the astrology falling into alignment for the stuff that I'm experiencing in the office without knowing that that's what's going on, I love that stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so perfectly orchestrated, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, because Venus helps you relate to your relationships. And right now, your relationships are going to reflect how big is your wound, or how big is your love having to deal with the father. And that's going to be reflected in all partnerships, contractual or otherwise, relationships, children, and yourself. Also about how do you feel about disciplining yourself? Do you follow through with things? A lot of times the father image to all has been about supporting the family, and taking care of provisions, providing for the family so that the children can grow and can experience or be educated or whatever it is that they want to do. And in feng shui, by the way, this particular area resides in the Northwest. So, yeah, resides in the Northwest. So if you were to put the element of metal in the Northwest, like a wind chime or a metal photograph, and it doesn't matter if it's of your father or not, it's just a metal. The metal is the key here. But I'm just kind of weaving my feng shui in here.
I love
but
it.
to activate and protect the Northwest at this particular time is really going to supply you with very harmonious energy to get through this transition.
So you take metal and you put it in the northwest part of your home, or
part of your home, and that is compass direction, not the Bagua. That is your compass direction. So you can take your little smartphone and find out where.
You guys will see me in here going, I'm in my house. Where do I need to put that?
I know, but it's so weird because you need the compass, because you're just like, well, where does the west start and end, and where does the north begin and end? I know there's a little sliver in there somewhere that's the Northwest. But yeah, the Northwest is ruled by the patriarch of the family. So if in fact your floor plan is missing, let's just say it's missing that area of let's just say your floor plan just kind of indents there, and you are missing a structure there. There are ways to provide on the outside a lighted structure to kind of encompass that, because many times what will happen is if you move into a home as a family unit, and you are missing that northwest section of the home, the father will either take a job traveling, or the father will not, for some odd reason, feel comfortable within the home and will blame it on the relationship at some point. Make it very difficult for the father to get any footing, to feel comfortable, or to feel the confidence that they are playing the role or doing a valid job of this particular family unit. It's very important.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really important.
Everybody's listening to that and passing that on to someone they know that needs that information.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's very important. Yeah, it's very important. So this is kind of one of those times where we're focusing, astrologically on this, but we're also doing the inner work and the loving of yourself. And, you mentioned giving up the guilt and the trauma and all of that. This is an absolute wonderful time. If you are in the gift giving mood right now during the holidays, give yourself this gift of one of Tracy's workshops. And
actually, I have a bundle of workshops that is the Soul Repair series, and it's all about self-love, and it's all of the workshops are 30% off, but that bundle would be 30% off right now. And there's five 1-hour segments where Daniel channels in about self-love and forgiveness and transcending some of this energy. And so that's a bundle Soul Repair series. So
how do they find you? Where is it at?
TracyMahan.com. And it's TRACIE. Hopefully you can see that down there. And TracyMahan.com. And it's going to be the online store. You just click on the ones you want. And then you put in the word Christmas in the promo section of that purchase, and it'll get you 30% off. So
Perfect. I'm also running my half hour series. I'm running a sale as well, just for updating and for really clearing out and preparing a nice timeline for the new year that's coming up for 2022. We're going into the year of the tiger. This is a fierce year. If you have never gotten into feng shui before, this is the year where you will be so glad you did.
yes, I've been hearing things about what is it that the United States is going into their Pluto return or something of that nature.
Yeah, back to astrology. Absolutely. So we go through different cycles, and this is returning. Just like every time you have a birthday, it's called your solar return. The sun that's in the sky comes back to the exact alignment of where it was when you were born every single year. And my honey Bill, he's going to have his solar return on Saturday. So happy birthday, honey. Happy birthday, Mr. Bill.
I see he's in the chat. So hi, Bill.
Yeah, he's in the chat. But in the chart, Pluto takes forever to get around because it's the furthest planet out. Not that it's the furthest planet out, but it's the furthest one we're tracking at the moment in our particular solar system, and it is going to have the exact same lineup as 1776. So as we do this particular lineup, it brings up all of the revolution and all of the independence. And we're done with being taken advantage of or overtaxed or overworked or really living in shackles. We're done with that. So as we go through these kind of this chaotic, rebellious sense that's bubbling up into each and every one of us, every time something comes down the pike, we're questioning it, we're researching it, we're having all of these opinions on it. And you're going to see back then, this is very interesting because we were under British rule and we were also under their British currency as well. And so when we did fight for our independence, it was up to us to come up with a new currency. It was up to us to invent that it was going to be the standard of gold and all of this. And that people who were now under the United States of America could no longer use the British currency. Now we're going through the same kind of currency thing today. Yeah. So this really reflects in a lot of ways, and I could go on and talk about that forever. But I do blog on my website. You can tune into KimLaLowe.com and read all about that stuff as well. All of that is coming up. But in January, I'm doing a huge feng shui up and coming seminar. And if you are interested, friend me so that I can get the email out to you and get your offering in as far as educating as far as the year of the tiger, because you have 4 pillars in Chinese astrology. It's like a table, right? And so there's 4 legs to support the year. Well, 3 of those legs are the year of the tiger. It's not just 1, it's 3. It's fierce. Tigers are wild.
Wow.
Yes, it's very fierce. And
I feel like we need to get our seatbelts on.
Oh, you need to get your little, trainer thing going on, your little whip, because you need to be able to tame this tiger, these 3 tigers, and make them jump through the hoops instead of them manipulating you. So it's fierce, and it carries with it a warrior type of energy. So a lot of wars are really going to be coming up, whether we're going to allow them to happen or not. And this this healing on this conscious level, this global level, is so needed right now, because we are outgrowing the need for wars. We're outgrowing that. And if you can validate, that we're making an impact, on the future, and we have other options during this particular Pluto return. And, every workshop you do counts, every one of them. And it's amazing that it just, vibrates out like that. I'm just going to ask right now if we can have a little demonstration of your channeling abilities, and if you feel like this is something you'd like to do, if you're comfortable.
I'd love to bring Daniel in. You betcha.
Okay.
Do you have questions for Daniel, or do you want me to just bring in a message?
Oh, I have a ton of questions. They're all personal, of course. But I think for the show, how do we bring more love in? How do we feel comfortable with peace, and how do we spread that a little bit more, maybe?
Okay, and how much time do we have? Because
we have about 10 minutes.
Okay, so you're going to keep Daniel on the clock, okay?
I am.
Okay. Well, the first thing that we want to do, Kimla, is we want to talk to you about this halo thing that happens above your head. We want to talk to you about the energy that you're bringing in. When you present yourself, when you bring yourself out into the world, when you are bringing yourself into this beautiful space that you share with your community, you are sharing the energy. It funnels in through you. You become the channel. You are the channel of such beautiful information in so many different directions and so many different ways. And so we just want to thank you again for being who you are as you bring this energy in, as you find your ways to overcome, to persevere, to move through the obstacles and the obstructions in the way, and to know when to grow and leave behind that which is no longer serving as you move forward, as you make your way into the next adventure and the next one and the next one. And it'll be fun to watch you in this year to come as well, because you have 3 stepping stones that are going to be coming into your path that are going to lead you to something that you have always wanted, but also not something overwhelming. You're not ever going to get more than what you can handle or take on more work. We see you taking a step back in a beautiful way of really enjoying your life and starting to perceive yourself in a way that you never have before, which is going to create a whole new world for you. And we say it to you, but we mean it for the whole world. You said, how do people fall into this place of peace and love and forgiveness and moving into allowing themselves to have these lives? You are all designed to fall into these beautiful places all on your own. Everyone, and we'll use Kimla as an example, has set these stepping stones in your path. When you came into this world, you came in with a collective of beings that were helping and overseeing you. You call them guides, you call them angels, but there's so much more to that. So we invite you to start calling in the benevolent beings known and unknown to you, so that you are now having access to things you didn't even know you had access to. And if you can start calling it in from the higher realms, from the highest spaces, from the most benevolent and high energies. And we always ask you to call in your gatekeeper. We are the gatekeeper for Tracy. Call in your gatekeeper so only the high vibrational information can make it through. And then as you do that, you're going to start recognizing the little stepping stones that you had. Some of you set up to be drawn to Reiki, to Dolores Cannon, to whatever other teacher or modality that is calling to your heart. Some of you want to be shamans. Some of you want to be healers in different arenas through sound and music, through art. And so we say to you, step into the thing that you're passionate about. And that is going to help you to start healing the thing that has been holding you in that stuck position. You can break out of your stuck place. You can break out of that cycle and that rhythm by stepping into something you're passionate about. What happens is you have this cycle, you have the circle, we'll go this way. You have the circle that keeps going around and around, and then you say, oh, I want to do something I'm passionate about. Now your circle starts having to do this, doesn't it? So now it's got a new pattern. It's no longer doing this. And then you can start seeing things differently, and you can start cycling through it differently. And then you're going to make different choices, and you're going to break that cycle completely. So those are some of the ways that you're going to start healing. You're going to start breaking the cycles. You're going to start recognizing them, and you're going to start making different decisions. That's going to be your number one thing to do. You want to make sure that you are loving yourself in all the aspects and areas of life, no matter what it is that you have done in the past, no matter what it is that you have said, or the experiences that you've had, or the relationships that you had. Those have only been experiences. They are not who you are. They are not defining you. You are a beautiful light of the divine presence of source energy. And as an aspect of that, you have gone into this world to become what you came here to do. And if you're listening to this show, if you have made it this far, then you are here for the message to know that you're right on track. If you have made it to this part of the show, you are here to hear that you are doing everything exactly right, and everything that you have done has been well placed in your life to get you here, so that you know that you are on track, on path, and you are going in the right direction. Keep learning, keep expanding, keep growing, keep exceeding, keep stepping out of your box. Remove the glass ceiling, go as far out into the expansion as possible, meet all your galactic councils and crews, and get to know yourself better. Because when you can fall in love with yourself on these levels of understanding that you have multiple facets of yourself in other dimensions, other realities, and other time, and other space, and other planets, you're going to start realizing that you have orchestrated something very, very beautiful. And if you can tap into all of that beauty and bring it back into this life with you, you're going to start to notice that you're seeing things differently. You're experiencing things differently. You're understanding things differently, and that is going to help you heal. So as you keep moving and evolving through these stages, and you keep moving and evolving through and stepping up and going further and letting your mind be expanded, guess what you're going to do? You're going to, one, put that out into the collective so that everyone else can expand even faster, more rapidly than you did, because you're showing them the way. It's always easier when you're the one that's being shown than the one that's trying to figure it out, right? And so the next person gets to do it even faster. And how wonderful is that? Because we want them to do it faster, because we want everybody to get caught up so that we can all move again to the next thing. So we're all working as a collective to help the next one up and the next one up, so that we can all get to this place, this frequency, this vibration, and this understanding where we can release the fear, and we can move into a world that is so much greater, so much more expansive, and so much more joyful and playful and energized and exciting than the one that you're in right now. No more feeling imprisonment, no more feeling of servitude. You are going to be living a life of value, of preciousness, of that which is important to you. You do become part of a collective mind. You do become part of a wholeness of one, but you still get to do that in the most individual way possible. Most people, when they hear, oh, I don't know if I want to become part of a one collective mind, I like my individuality. Well, we want to tell you, you are more of you have less individuality being in this free will situation that you're in right now as the individual. When you become fully and truly your honest and true self, you are free to be whoever you want to be in the world. That is when you can become part of the oneness. That is when you can become part of the collective. So it's actually the opposite of what one might think. When you become part of a collective mind, you are more individualized in yourself and more self-actualized than when you are in the human construct where you're trying to conform to everything society wants you to be. So hopefully you can see the contrast of all of that. We're hoping we're talking fast enough to get it all in, but not too fast to get you all to comprehend it. We want to thank you all for letting us be here. We will keep it short. We want to thank Kimla for letting us be a part of this broadcast as well. And we want to thank her for being part of our experience and our journey. And thank you for letting us be a part of yours. We will bring Tracy back.
Thank you, Danielle. Very good. Yay. Thank you, Danielle, for all of that wonderful information. That was spectacular. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Well, I love that he had this time frame and he's like, I'm going to do it.
we have so much more to talk about still. Of course, you and I, we could talk.
We could do it all the time. Yeah.
For weeks and weeks and weeks. So please, I hope you come back and we can pick this up, because I have a lot of questions about children and how to handle the new energy of children and all of that. So please come back so we can talk about the children. Right now, we're going to say thank you so much for everyone that came along with us in this journey. And thank you so much for liking and sharing and subscribing to my channel. And also Tracy has her channel as well. Tracy, how can they find your channel?
Oh, please come to my YouTube. I post messages from Daniel 2 or 3 times a week. That's Tracy Mahan on YouTube, TraciEMAHAN. And please come check me out. That's my website. That's my YouTube. So yeah, come find me. And I'm on all social media as well. So all of that's good. Thank you, Kimla.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful holiday. And until next time, may the angels protect you and guide you. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.
Bye, everyone.